I'm Mark Stewart Greenstein, candidate for governor and candidate for getting back to basic American civics. I am thus not a candidate for leftists. Okay? Leftists are ruining the country. And I want to make a significant distinction between leftists and liberals. I am a liberal, old-fashioned, okay, Enlightenment definition, and really up until probably the last 30 years, liberal was for tolerance, for openness, for more rights, for individualism, for freedom. The left wants to squelch every one of those things, starting with free speech, First Amendment. They don't want people to have unadulterated chances to speak in front of college students, okay? They just want their folks to speak in front of the college students. A conservative, no, they should be kept away under the name of, well, trigger warnings are needed. Speaking there is beyond a trigger warning. It could be so incendiary to somebody's emotions. So they infantilize otherwise right-thinking people. The left is not a friend of freedom. And it's a shame that my party, to get votes and allies, has allied with the left way too often. The left wants to legislate based on feelings. They know it's very effective, okay? They know that empathy allows us to get voter sentiments. But empathy is not good policy. Just because you feel for somebody's plight doesn't mean you should take the club of government, that is force, that is ultimately putting a gun to the head of somebody who is resistant, and say, you must comply, because some of us would like helping him, while the rest of us don't want to comply. The left will find a victimized person and then give that person lots of money if they can. Look what's coming in California now. The left would like rules on newspapers to regulate the true movie start times in a theater. Some people are upset that something that says showing at 9:10 is a bunch of previews and popcorn ads, and you actually don't get started till 9:25. Fine. Let people figure that out for themselves. After one or two movies, they can inquire which are the theaters that actually represent realistic start times, or which are the theaters that never are realistic, but at least I'll know what to expect and I'll add 15 minutes. You don't need government to legislate this. For God's sake, the leftists want to regulate lemonade stands. You know, the first business of some kids is going away, thanks to rules and regulations and zoning compliance that the left wants to force on 11-year-olds. They want to, well, in the name of helping the homeless, they regulate the structure of temporary porta potties that well-meaning groups, municipalities might want to put up for events or even permanent, and that helps. It makes handicapped people have more access to outside events. Ooh, but if it's still not in compliance with the ADA, you can't build it. And to get in compliance, it might cost $30,000 for a set of porta potties, and you can't afford to build it. Whatever the left wants, they routinely make it so hard for the rest of us to even comply. Get ready. It's happened in New York already. The left has a human rights commission by which they are fining restaurants whose servers, by the way, I can't say waiters, servers, don't address a patron by the pronoun that he or she or she or she, all these different ones have cropped up over the last decade, how they'd like to be addressed. Literally, there's on the books a $125,000 fine for deliberately changing your speech and addressing a person in a way that she wants or doesn't want. Oh, the waiter. You can't even run an ad in New York for a waiter. That apparently is too sexist. You must now say server. Oh, and one restaurant in New York, thanks again to the Human Rights Commission in New York City, did fine a restaurant. It has now been closed because of the oppressive fine for seeking an Indian server for their Indian cuisine restaurant. Look, I sympathize. If I want more authenticity, I'd rather be served by somebody from Mumbai than somebody from the Bronx, okay? I worked in restaurants throughout college and even afterwards. And actually, my first job in Vail, Colorado was for a Moroccan restaurant, Matam Fez. And we would get dressed up in North African garb, and we would serve people, pretty much Anglos and Europeans. Not many North Africans actually went and dined there. But the guys who were from Morocco were much better waiters than me, okay? They could pour tea on the top of their head. They could serve people with their feet. Literally, it would be on the top of their cleanly washed feet. I'm an Anglo. I can't do this. I was not as good. I certainly wasn't as authentic. They shouldn't want me if they have an appealing North African who would like to serve in the restaurant. But here comes government regulation in the name of some queer equality, keeping the restaurants from serving their customers best. All right, I'll save it for another one, but please, the transgender rights group that the leftists have lobbed onto puts more people in danger of suicide. You talk about the real consequences of the left movement. Yes, it can be life or death. I'll expound upon that later. But for now, please, Democrats especially, please think again when progressive sounding legislation comes at the behest of not progressives, but leftists, okay? Leftists who would like all of capitalism, all of America to go down in favor of a very different society that most emulates North Korea or Venezuela. Cuba is actually getting better, okay? You want to see the leftist regime in action, go to Venezuela. Once the best country south of this border, and now they are worried about thugs. Now there is destitution thanks to socialist leftist regimes. We need to stay away. I'm here to make sure that that blue wave does not affect Connecticut. Democrats especially, please be on the lookout for those who have been brainwashed, literally, by those on the left and want to use your well-minded legislatures, your good ones, for their ultimately evil. Thanks very much.